Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for coming today. I know it's Friday the 13th, so you guys want to go home early, so we'll try to wrap up as fast as we can. But thank you again for coming down. Today we only are down to 2%, just me and Phyllis, because Wenbin is sick and Aloysius is out of town. So if you're new here, we do have a WhatsApp channel. So you can actually scan the very nice looking QR code over here done by Phyllis to get into our WhatsApp channel. Right, that's where we actually announce upcoming events and anything new from Tableau. And you can message us from there as well if you have any questions. Okay. You all can continue eating. The food is there. So again, hi, we're the co-lead. So today is me and Phyllis only. Aloysius and Wenbin is not around. But we do this every quarter. So March is, now we're in March. Next one is probably in like May, June. We have a timeline, I think. Okay, before we go into the timeline, this is the agenda for today. We have a guest speaker, Shouvik, who will be talking about how we drive and inspire, and act. Like the two words very hard to pronounce together. Yeah, with data and insights. And then Phyllis will do a live demo on some dashboard tricks. I'll also do some. And then we'll wrap it off with a vibe coding using Figma Make on creating dashboard mockups, right? So we are currently in March. For those who are planning to go to TC is in May. So if you haven't bought your tickets, I think tickets are getting a bit more expensive now with whatever is happening with the world. But if you need some assistance or like some tips on how to navigate Tableau conference, if you're going, do let me and Phyllis know because we've been there for the past couple of years. This year, both of us are not going because lack of budget. But we do have experience on how to navigate around it. So if you need help, just let us know. So the next meeting we'll do is probably in May, and we'll do a post-conference coverage, right? There are some sessions within Tableau that will be, within Tableau conference that will be recorded, but not all of them. But you can also catch up on some of the recordings through Salesforce Plus and register from there. There is also another data visualization conference in June called the Outlier. For this year, they're doing all virtual. I think, unfortunately, the timings for the sessions are probably going to be very US-based, but they do record those as well. So I think you should be able to get access to it if you register. And without further ado, let me just pass it over to Shouvik to get things started.
All right. Thanks, Luis. Thanks, guys, for coming on a Friday. I really encourage your enthusiasm to be here on a Friday. Okay, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to share my experience how we could kind of implement human-centered design practices in building data products or dashboards and why it's important to do it, right? Now, before I go into the actual topic in itself, just quickly want to share about Netflix. So Netflix uses human-centered design thinking aggressively throughout their products. So if you think about how Netflix became so big, so initially there was a company called as Blockbuster, and their operating model was you have to go to their shops to get the DVDs that you wanted. Netflix flipped it, wherein you could actually order the DVDs to come to your home, right? Now, once they become quite big, they also observed a very interesting opportunity in the market, which was actually, people are actually bored with the content which is available in television. So they decided to start producing own movies, own TV shows. So they were actually solving real problems for real people. And they call that as Netflix original series, right? So I'm gonna talk about what human-centered design thinking is all about. It's basically at the intersection of, is an idea, when you have an idea, is that idea feasible? Can we do it? Is it viable? Meaning, can it survive in the long run? Is it desirable? Is there a demand for it? That's the basic construct of what human-centered design thinking is. But I want to share with you, 3 reasons, personal reasons why I was very intrigued into human-centered design thinking. Anybody been to Raffles City? Raffles City, the big mall? Yeah. We all been there, right? So this was back in the day when there was a McDonald's there. There's no McDonald's now. There was once upon a time, Raffles City had a McDonald's, right? And one of the Saturdays, I was going with my wife to a cafe nearby. There's a Guardian shop at the basement. And we were just trying to get some water bottles because it was too hot, thirsty. I was just standing outside the shop, and a very elderly couple actually walk up to me and very tentatively ask me to help to open the water bottle. Now, when I helped them, I actually didn't think about a lot about it. But once they walked away, I thought that, okay, this is me in 30 years' time. Can't even open a water bottle for my wife. I was really thinking about it. And then it made me, think about things around us. And it took me some time to notice how most of the things around us are all broken. Most of the things doesn't work, right? How many apps do you have in your phone that you use daily? You can easily count 4 or 5. How many apps do actually you have in your phone? 30, 40? Doesn't work, right? There are so many things around us doesn't work. You guys have the robo vacuum at your house? Anybody have the robo vacuum, the one that goes and sweeps, vacuums? It's supposed to make our life easier, right? But it doesn't make our life easier. The moment we switch it on, we actually go behind it. Is it gonna, pick up a socks, pick up a paper? Is it gonna get stuck somewhere? Nothing works, right? Then the other instance, which actually also got me intrigued, was very early in my career. I was organizing a corporate event, and in the event, I got to interact with a lot of very senior people. And I was very curious to understand their perception about the team that I was working in. Right? So I was working in a data analytics team. So I curiously walked to them and asked them, like, what's your opinion about team? What do you think we do? And the answer that I got was really surprising. It was shocking. Answer I got was, okay, you guys are just a data factory, right? You were just dashboard monkeys. That was the answer that I got. And I was really taken aback by it because we thought that we are building this amazing insights, which is changing the strategy of the organization, which is helping people to make big decisions about the products that we give to our customers. However, the feedback that I got was completely different, right? And the third reason is all data and analytics people have a perception problem, right? People don't feel that we do important things, that we actually solve real problems. People just feel that we're just here to build some reports. We just build dashboards. And most of the stuff that we use or build, never used, right? So that's why I started to, analyze about this concept of design thinking, which is a really old topic, about a framework to help solve problems. And then I kind of also got into human-centered design thinking, which is about how you put a human at the center of problem solving, because at the end of the day, you solve problems for real people, right? So I'm going to share quickly with you one of the problems that we tried to solve in our line of work. So I work for Standard Chartered Bank, and I'm part of the corporate real estate team. So what we do is we manage offices. Like, you are here in office. So our function actually manage offices. We plan desks, like for, we have 90,000 people across the 55 markets. So how many desks do we need to support our workforce, right? And a lot of other things that are related to the corporate real estate. Now, one of the days, the head of portfolio performance walked up to us and said that, okay, this is how actually we plan space. So how we used to plan spaces, for every head count, we used to allocate 50 square feet, which means if you have 100 people, 5,000 square feet is what you need, right? But after COVID, we hit a problem because not every day people were coming to office, right? You only go to office 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, which meant the only way for us to optimize our offices were either instead of 50 square feet, we give 20 square feet, which is not the experience that anybody wants in the room. We like big spaces, right? Or we ask HR to get rid of people. Not happening, right? Nobody wants less people in the organization. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to find a way to use behavioral signals of people working from office and use that signals to plan how much of space do we need, right? So just the photograph of the workshop that we had with the head of performance management within Standard Chartered Bank. The first thing that we actually try to do here is to answer the question, if we have to design an office, how much space is required to support the current turnout? Meaning, if we have 30 people coming on a Monday, 50 people coming on a Tuesday, how much space do we need to support the demand, right? Now, this was the first product that we did. This is the first, I know everybody likes dashboards. This is the first dashboard that we did, right? And the purpose in this dashboard was to see if we can build a metric using which we can plan space, right? And any guess the famous or the favorite metric of all the managing directors across every industry? What is the one favorite metric? Average. What is the average sales, right? What is the average price? That's the favorite metric because that's easy to understand. Actually, average doesn't mean anything. If you're only relying on average, I'm sorry to say, you are pretty average. That's the truth of it, right? But it's difficult to explain to them, right? You have to show it to them. How do you tell this as a story that you are not supposed to use average? So this is how we showed that. If you plan average for so many of days, you're not going to have enough space. So what is the other option? You can plan for space to support 80% of the days, right? Now, in technical terms, 80% of the days means 80th percentile. Very, very difficult for senior people to understand what percentile is. Even sometimes for us to understand what a percentile is. Even though we use that as a metric very often in our day-to-day life, right? So when you have young kids, when you go to your pediatrician, they will say, the growth is within the 75th percentile, 80th percentile. If you have taken any competitive exam, your rank will have some kind of percentile, right? But very difficult for people to understand, right? So how do we tell a story which is easier for them to understand? If you want to plan space and you want to ensure that you have enough space for 80% of the time, this is how many desks you would need, right? This was a very initial idea. It's a very simple problem that we're trying to solve, is to figure out a way to get human behavior to plan the space. Very, very simple idea, right? Now, most people actually stop here. They just stop with the minimal viable product because our benchmarks are so high, we just stop at minimum. That's it. But minimum viable product doesn't mean the product is usable, right? So when we start discussing with people about the product, so we got feedback in terms of what will make a viable product a usable product, right? Very simple things. People just want to know this. How many seats are there? How many seats are recommended? That's it, right? And if we do this, how much space is required? Very simple things. So we added that on the metric, right? We also added some level of simulation in our product. So they could add, for example, if there are 100 more people in the office, is the space enough, right? So we started to build a tool which was actually helping them to solve a problem. So went from an idea into actually usable product, right? But it was still usable, right? When do you recommend a product to your friend? Like, what is the product that you have recommended to your friend? And what it takes for you to recommend the product to your friend. You need to find it usable. Second thing, you need to like the product, right? If you don't like the product, you will not recommend to your friend. So how do we then take a usable product? So we saw how we took a viable product, made it to a usable product, how we take a usable product and make it a likable product. So in our case, when we asked people, or we started to gather feedback from the different users of this particular product, what we understand was people are looking to figure out how many properties are there or how many offices are there where there exists an opportunity to optimize. They don't want to go into single view of every dashboard and try and understand that, okay, this year there are 20 offices which we can optimize. They just want to know how many offices are there which we can optimize. So we build that feature. How do we identify the 20% of Pareto, basic Pareto principle, the 20% of offices which will give 80% of the optimization value? Simple stuff, right? But the difficult thing is that people can't articulate this in so many words. And we build the entire suite around a single idea. If you think about it, we started with a single idea. How do we, again, get human behavior to drive the space that we need? So from that idea, we apply that idea across all of our offices. And from across all of the offices, we build a global product which tells globally how many such offices are there. But there are different people who are looking for different questions. There are our business units, like sales department, marketing department. They want to understand how much space do they need. So you need a different view for them. There's a finance team who want to do capital planning. So basically, they want to say, okay, if you want to reduce space in this 20 offices, how much money do I need to give you for you to run those projects? Because even moving out of an office, you need money, right? So this is one of the journeys from how we went from an idea to a viable product, from a viable product to a usable product, and from a usable product to a likable product, right? Most of this work is actually done in Tableau, but the techniques we use, nothing to do with Tableau, right? Which means you could use it in your day-to-day life. But we didn't stop there. So currently, we are here. So all the while, what we have been doing is we have been looking at historical behavior to drive today's question. I have a question today. I'm looking at historical data to inform my current decision. With Spot Plus, what we're trying to do is we are simulating people's behavior. What if today, on a week, 2 people come to office on 2 days? What if tomorrow people start coming 3 days or 4 days? Then how much space do we need? So we started to simulate different scenarios. So that's Spot Plus. And then kind of the moonshot idea is the Spot Agent, wherein we want to have a multimodal AI agent, which can do a lot of this stuff by itself. So most of the times, if you think about how your analytic product sits in the flow of work, it just sits somewhere in the middle. There are steps that people need to do upfront, and there are steps people need to do downstream after they come to your product. So using the AI agent, we are trying to see how much of it can we scale. Like you need so much other information to optimize a building. You need to know about the lease. You need to know about how many people are there. You need to do a P&L analysis to understand if this is really beneficial or not. We're trying to do that using the Spot agent. So what did we achieve so far? So it's been 3 years we are on this journey. So till date, we have saved around $11 million for the bank. The most importantly, we have unlocked 16,000 hours of productivity on an annual basis. Because before this, people were doing this manually. Before this, there were people, taking like a pad and a paper and going on the floors, walking the floors, trying and understand how many people are there in the floor. So we unlocked that productivity, right? Until today, actually, it's more than 20. We have now optimized more than 50 offices across the globe. And we also won an award. right? Simple idea. We started with simple idea. I think when you saw the first dashboard, if I would have told you that, okay, this particular product won a global award, you would have trust me. You would have said, no way, right? So this is the framework that I want to talk about, that I want to share about. Now, human-centered design thinking have multiple tools, which I don't want to go into today because you can easily Google them and you can find them, all the different tools available to, or the techniques that's available in human-centered design thinking. But I want you to take away the simple concept of PRISM, which is basically whenever somebody comes to you and asks you to do a dashboard, the first thing you should try and understand, who is this dashboard for? Because most of the time, people will ask you for a dashboard. They are not going to use it. They're going to take the insights or copy the dashboard into a PowerPoint and maybe send to their stakeholders. Try and understand the people for whom you are building your products. Why do they need it? Ask why. What is the purpose of this product? What is the purpose of the dashboard? You will understand that most of the time, actually, they don't need a dashboard. They don't need a report. The problem is completely something different. But we never know this, we never uncover these problems because we don't ask why. What is the purpose for this report? What happens if this report doesn't exist? It doesn't exist today, right? Think about the big idea. Now, this is where things are changing over the period of time, right? So if you think about how AI is infiltrating our life, anyone can build a dashboard today, right? You can throw a prompt to GPT, it will build you a Python chart. Tableau is coming up with Tableau Next, and AI agents to build their own charts and own dashboards. But what AI can't still do is to define what the problem is and what the solution should look like. So that is the big idea. So what is the big idea that you want to do with this particular product? You will figure out that your idea is bigger than a dashboard. It's not a dashboard. You will then start thinking about automated workflows. Then you will then start understanding about the different chaining of decisions that needs to happen for actual change to happen in your organization. Because change doesn't happen because of one decision. You need to change multiple decisions for an action to happen. And you will see how you could add value to that. How do you do it? Solutioning, I think this one, we all are experts, right? We can easily give solutions to the problems. And then the last thing is make it happen, which is a journey from a viable product to a likable product, right? So if you saw the title of the presentation, it was about inspire, aspire, and act. So in general, you take inspiration from people and purpose. The idea and solution aspires you, and then you act. Because if you don't act, everything is just theoretical, right? There's no purpose behind it. There's no actions. There's no outcome. With that, I'm going to give you 3 examples of human-centric design thinking in your day-to-day life. Everybody has been to Changi Airport. I strongly recommend to go to the Jewel Changi, the mall. In one of the floors, they have an experience about how they incorporate design thinking in service design. So basically, your experience, the moment you step into the airport all the way to the boarding gate, they incorporate design thinking to support that journey, right? Now, one of the best features that I personally like a lot is when you have the belt on the baggage, and this you will only observe in the Changi airport, the handle is actually upside down. This is very detailed. And I have been to so many airports across the world, I have not seen this anywhere else. The reason it is like that is because it's easier to take it from the conveyor belt. Otherwise, you generally struggle. You want to, turn it to find which way to pull the handle, right? My Enable Buddy, anybody knows about this? So this is again a HCD inspired project done by the Mandai Zoo, where if you have kids, they could have kind of virtual pets. So if you think about it, right, a lot of parents don't want their kids to have pets. So when the kids go to the zoo, they can actually connect with let's say, an animal, and they can keep in touch with the animal virtually through an app. Right? It's a nice way to have a continuous interaction with animals that kids like. Again, the last one, anyone from Ministry of Manpower? No? Anyone from the government agencies? Oh, you're from. So there's a group called as Colab. Are you aware about it? So these people are actually go and identify the different problems that different kind of people have in the country and see whether they could apply human-centric design thinking techniques to solve them. Now, one of the projects that they did was to figure out how the rest areas for our lower wage workers, basically people who are cleaning our estates, need to be designed. A very interesting paper in terms of how they went about doing that project. With that, I come to the conclusion of my session. Any questions? If there's no question, I have a question for you. Are dashboards dead? Anybody in the room who feels dashboards are dead? Nobody feels dashboards are dead? No? Why? Why do you feel dashboards are dead, not dead? You just feel it? Anyone want to volunteer for that answer? Why you feel dashboards are not dead? Okay, then do we agree that dashboards are dead? Can we all agree on that? No. Anyone want to say? You said no. Why dashboards are not dead?
The technology has sort of... The statement that dashboards are dead probably come about because we read about technology advance and our thinking run ahead of time. And we think that the new technology may sort of like make it unnecessary to have dashboard. But the fact is that our management is still still human. So they still want to have a dashboard. It's just that maybe it is our job to make the dashboard a bit more sophisticated. Yeah. And it may not look like what it used to do a few years back. It may look a bit different. Maybe you get some form of 3D type of dashboard, rather than 2D with tabs and all that. And maybe the interactivity is a bit more sophisticated if you have an interactive dashboard. But it's still a dashboard. Because at the end of the day, we still need to be able to summarize the sets of data that we are trying to understand to get, and there's still KPI for us to judge our performance against with a dashboard.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, I'll give you my reason. So you generally think about all the insights that you generate, right? You could categorize all the questions into two boxes. Box one, same question every day. Now you want to know about the sales metric and the end of the month, every month. And then you have the other type of questions, different questions, same day, where you will find that dashboards are not very helpful. Because most of the dashboards are designed to report on very specific metrics, right? And still, the existing tools are not very capable in terms of self-service. So I believe that dashboards will still be there because we'll still need to understand the standard KPIs month over month. But there will be other ways or other technologies or agentic technologies which will help us to understand the questions which will change within the same day, right? And one of the examples that I want to give for you, and again, this was just me observing when I came here. I didn't come here on a Tesla, but it was an EV. It still has a dashboard. The EVs have not gone rid of the dashboards. And then I became curious. I went and saw whether Tesla still have a dashboard. The self-driving autonomous car, Tesla, it's still autonomous in some parts of US, still have a dashboard. It still tells you whether you have enough fuel when you turn on the car. So I think dashboards are still here. They'll still be there for some time. Thank you.
Thanks, Shouvik. I think to Shouvik's point, right, dashboards are not dead, but dashboards are evolving, right? You think about any metric on the screen, that's basically a dashboard. Years ago, how it looks like and now how it looks like is totally different because we have agentic AI and all that kind of things. What we would see probably happening is that dashboards eventually might not be for us. It might be for the AI to kind of build additional context on, right? So it depends on what do you define as a dashboard, right? Be it, like you look at what Tableau is doing with Tableau Pulse and all the agentic AI stuff, right? You have very key business operational metrics that you monitor every day, right? You can set a trigger to say that, you know, if the value goes above a certain threshold, notify you, right? But in the future world, it might not be notifying you. It might be notifying an AI agent that would then run certain workflows to, you know, if let's say the inventory goes below a certain limit, automatically puts in a order for additional stock or something like that, right? So that, in essence, is also still a dashboard. It's just how we use it. So speaking of dashboard, the next session is about some of the dashboard tricks and tips that we use.
Okay, so for my part, yeah, I'll be covering some essential dashboard techniques that I think you need to know if you want to take your dashboard to the next level. And the tips that I want to share is actually very simple. I noticed that in Shouvik's Standard Chartered dashboards, he also had a few of it. So, okay. So my sharing today is actually very much inspired by this person's dashboard. So he's called Pradeep Kumar. I really like his dashboards. It's very clean, simple, and he has a lot of information, but at the same time, I don't feel overwhelmed when I look at it. Okay, and okay, but if you actually try and download his Tableau workbook, you try and reverse engineer it, he actually put in a lot of effort into his dashboards. Like it can be very small things like his color legend. He doesn't use, like right over here, he doesn't use the default Tableau's color legend. He will actually create an image of it somewhere else and he will just pack it in as an image. Yeah, so small things like that. And in this GIF, in this animation that I added here, I think what I really like is this like left-hand panel over here, where you can see that as you click through the different icons, it will go to another page. So this is a little bit like, how to say, an extra effort thing, because you don't actually need to do this. When you actually publish your dashboard online, you know, users can actually toggle between like the different tabs already. It's just an extra special thing. I will do a demo on how this is done later. Okay, then this is another one that I really like, which is where he used this like show height button. So at the very top right, you know, there's this like toggle button that he has. When you click on it, it actually hides the filters. You know, sometimes users, you want to actually see the filters so that, you know, you can further filter down your dashboard. But having too many filters will sometimes be very overwhelming. You know, it's just a bit too many things cluttering the dashboard. So that's one of his users for it. Okay, so I'll be showing demo of how I do this, but I'm not doing a KPI dashboard. I'm doing a cute style dashboard. Okay, so two concepts that I'll just cover is the navigation as well as the show and hide. So let me go to the dashboard. Okay, so I'll just do a very quick demo. This is a completed dashboard. You can see that using navigation button, right? If I were to click on this, what do you call this? Console. I forgot. Oh yeah, controller. Yes, so if you click on this controller icon, right, it goes to like a more detailed specs of Pikachu. Whereas if I were to click on this ID, it goes to Pikachu's profile. Okay, this is how the navigation button works. And I actually have this other icon down here. This is the show height. So at work, right, I get a lot of questions from users asking me, can I see the data? Can I see how, user level data? Can I export this data? Okay, so this is not the export button, but my point is users like to drill down to the most granular row level data. Okay, and I actually don't like to show it. So this button here, if you click, it will actually show how the underlying stats look like. And if you want to revert, you can click on it again and it will go back to this radar chart over here. Okay, so let me show how to build this. Okay, but first, right? Okay, so background to why we actually decided to cater this session to more of a design-centric sharing is because in one of our in our WhatsApp group chat, someone actually asked about how do we actually build mockups, what is a typical process, and different people have different methods. Like later you will see in Luis's sharing, he actually uses Figma. But for myself, I don't use Figma. I actually use Canva. So it's not typically as used as much as, Figma is a more popular one, I guess. Okay. Okay, so in order to build that toggle, that navigation button, you need to have two different images. So the first one is actually my Pikachu profile. Okay, for my example, obviously my Pikachu profile stats is static lah. But you just imagine this like a KPI dashboard. You can have your charts and all. I've included this bookmark tab thingy to be blank here because later on I'll be adding an icon in. And then this is how my second image will look like. So I actually have two different dashboards. The navigation button will toggle between these two. Okay, then you also need two more images for the show and hide. So one of it is this, I've designed it to look like an icon with a text table, as well as you need a so-called close button. Yeah. Okay, oh sorry, I didn't see this. So yeah, so this is a controller icon that you need for the navigation as well as the ID icon. Okay, so let me just show. Okay, usually I will hide. Okay, what's my dashboard dimension? Okay. Oops. Wow. Sorry, where's the folder? Okay, sorry, this is not my 10 hex. Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is the very first image that I have. And then afterwards, I'll do the same for the second dashboard. Okay, so I will add the icon in. So you can see over here, I go to this like navigation object here. I'll edit this button, change this to image, and then I will select my controller button. And I want this to navigate to dashboard 4. So this is dashboard 3. Okay, then I will do the same for this. That's my ID. This will navigate back to dashboard 3. Okay, so the sizing is not 100% like tally lah, but you get the idea lah. So once you publish it, right, from this is my ID page. If I were to click on this icon, you can see that it brings me to dashboard 4, and vice versa lah, it will go back. Okay, then the other one, okay, so I will not be demoing how to build the radar chart here lah. Okay, but I'll show how I actually do the text table. So when you add this navigation button, there's this add show hide button over here. So this is what you want, our edit button here. You notice that there's this item shown and item hidden. Oh wait, actually sorry, I should demo it back at this because I need my table. Okay, let me remove. Okay, so imagine this is what you have right now. I've created an additional like text table over here. Text table will look like this. What I want now is to actually drag this text table on top of this radar chart here. Okay, actually, let me add it into a container. So I like my text table to like overlap on top of the chart so that the users know that this text table, this is the underlying data from this radar chart over here. Okay, then what I'll do is I will change the background color, oops, to match this background. Okay, so okay, let me rename my container. Text table. I can't think of a better name. Okay, text table. Okay, so now I will add the navigation button, show height, edit button. So when the item is shown, I want to have the close button. And when the item is hidden, I want the table icon to be shown. And I want to navigate to text table. Okay, now I can delete this navigation. Okay, so something like this. I'll try to not let it overlap each other. Yeah, so this is how it works. You can see that if I actually click this icon here, it will show and hide this text table. Okay, so actually that's pretty much all for my sharing, because I feel like this is something that's a little bit overlooked. Like, not many people actually bother to use these features when it actually upgrades your dashboard experience so much more. Yeah. Okay, anyone has any questions? All these are done in Canva, by the way. This Pikachu picture, the icon also. Yeah, and this icon, right, just need to make sure that the background is transparent. As in this circle icon. Yeah, so whichever tool that you all use, I'm sure all these features can be done. Yeah. You can even do it in PowerPoint also. Oh, the radar chart? Yeah, sure. Oh, this is not built in. Yeah, you need to have some computations. Yeah. I think it's not too complex. Okay, I can just show you roughly how the computation is done. So you first need to know how many attributes you have. So like for example, I have 6 attributes. You just need to make sure you have the angle. Actually, no. Or is it angle spacing? Yeah, so because I have 6 attributes, you just need to make sure your angle spacing value is 360 divided by 6. If you have 7, 8, then you just divide accordingly. And then, everything else will just be... Okay, you need to create all these values also, like this X radar, Y radar. But the main thing that you need to make sure you calculate correctly is this angle spacing, which is 360 degrees divided by the number of attributes you have. Yeah. Okay, for example, like how long this is to that side, I'm not computing, Tableau is computing on their end. Yeah. Okay, so the good thing about Tableau is if you want to figure out how to build this, you can just download Tableau workbooks that's uploaded by other people, like on Tableau Public. If I like something, I will just download it, and then I'll just go in and see how the person built it, and I'll just copy the person's calculated fields. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm not too sure if there's a radar chart extension though. Oh. Oh, okay. So I don't really I've never tried the radar chart for that. Okay,
So traditionally for radar charts, right, you need to have a little bit of knowledge on trigonometry because you think about, the different spokes, right? What Phyllis is doing, dividing 360, which is one big circle, how many points you need on, how many spokes you need basically. And then the X and Y, you need to use sine and cosine to kind of gather where within the arc it lies. So think about one big circle. It's not overly complex, but it does requires you to do a bit of this kind of calculations. There is the extension version, which is done by La DataVis, Tristan. Tristan is one of the IronVis champions from, I can't remember which year, a couple of years back. But he started this company that does custom visual for Tableau. So things like stream graphs, things like Voronoi charts, things like radial charts, decision tree, and all those kind of things, and even curvy lines, right? So curvy lines, traditionally, you can't do it in Tableau, right? In order to do that, you need to do data densification so that you kind of plot additional points for along the curve itself. So if you're interested, you can go over here, right? Tristan has a few versions of the Vis extension. I can go through you guys. The Add Vis, this is the public available version. So if you're using Tableau Public, you can immediately access all of this, right? The only issue is that this would have a kind of like a watermark at the bottom left corner. He has a corporate version license of this, right? So it's either you get one license for one developer, or if you would like, because some companies have a bit more strict security protocols, right? He has a sandbox version where you host all of the calculations and all the JavaScripts and everything internally. That costs, I think, if it hasn't changed its pricing, is 5,000 USD per implementation, right? But that 5,000 doesn't limit any number of developers. So once you have that implemented, everyone within the organizations can create radar charts and so on and so forth. So all these are kind of the charts that you can do. So you can do things like BSWAM, BAM, quad diagram, network diagram, Sankey. I know it's a lot of interest in this. Voronoi chart. I think he has. Let me see this extension. He has a list somewhere. Yeah. So this is the full list, right? He has some things like the curvy lines together with the KPI charts. He has gauge charts. The radar charts is over here, right? So there are a couple of. If you're interested, it is relatively easy to put into place, like how to build this. I can actually show you because I have a corporate license. 5,000 is for everyone in the organization. But if you only have maybe like one developer, right, and you're developing for the entire company, and you don't mind the Vis extension connecting to an external site, right, to kind of validate the license key and the JavaScript, then it's okay getting that just one or two licenses, which is I think only like less than $100 or something, right? And that gives you access to everything. So I have the single license. We don't have the 5,000 one because we don't need the sandbox version. But basically how it works is, you know what, let me just...
now show me what Sankey, right?
I don't remember have. Which version are you using?
It's under here.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a new one, right? Let me just connect to Superstore and I'll show you guys very quickly. Okay, so how you will connect to a Vis extension is via the marks here, right? You have this add extension. And then once you click on that, I already have the local file, which is, where did I put it? Over here.
Management asked you to build radar chart, or
They want a lot.
you want what?
They want a lot of beautiful.
They want a lot of beautiful
It's
things.
not like die radar chart.
Hmm.
So it was leveraging what Tableau had said.
Hmm.
It's not very
diagram. Like you cannot customize it. If you want to change the border, it's not. You cannot. Oh, okay. So the Tableau public version has quite a bit of limitation because it's like kind of like a trial version. But I think now Tristan has rolled out from at Tableau public, where you have the full authoring, but you have the watermark at the bottom left corner. Whereas this one is the corporate version. So for example, if I want to have a radar chart that shows the sales, right, I can drop sales into the value. You can then drop like the segment into the spokes. So you have like consumer, office, and corporate. If I don't want this, I can do maybe product category. Oh wait, no, subcategory. Once you upload it to the Tableau file also. It will be embedded within the workbook itself, right? So the only thing that you need to do is within the admin panel, there is an option for you to enable this extension. And you need to enter, let me see, okay, wait, let me stop sharing for a bit because I need to authenticate. I can show you the admin page with that portion.
Yeah, I haven't tried the Viz extension. Oh, I haven't tried the Viz extension radar chart, but just now from Luis's demo, it looks like it's much easier than my method, the manual method. Because if you do the manual method, I need to actually generate the background, you know, the plain like spider web thingy, and I need to make sure that the radar chart lines perfectly on top of this spider web. Whereas just now when he just clicked a few times, you know, it lines everything nicely. So that's there.
Okay, so this is how the Tableau server looks like. And within the settings, there's this extension panel, right? You need to enable users to run extension on this side, and you need to also add in the URL for La Data Viz, which hosts all of the license connector and the JavaScripts for it. So once you have that, anything you publish on your server would show, like the Viz extension will show. Right, so you only need the license for that developer. If you have multiple developers, like if you have like a group of like 20, 30 developers, then maybe it might be more cost effective to get that whole sandbox solution. And also if you work in a highly sensitive environment, you can't have data going out. Because although LaDataVis doesn't like query any of the data, there's still sending of packets, right? People can intercept that. So if you are very concerned about security, then maybe a sandbox solution would be more relevant, right? But his solution is very sleek. You can actually format. Is that you will see that over here you have a lot more editing options. So you can see that with the full version, you have a lot more control in how you want to edit. So like the radar charts, you have like, you can change the opacity of it, you can change the stroke width, you can change whether you want a kind of like a more triangular looking one. You can also, let's see, can remove this, can change the colors itself. Currently there's only one color. I can shift this to putting here, then you have like all different colors and all. You can add labels to it, right? You can add labels to the end of it and stuff like that. So there's a lot more control in the paid version, right? As opposed to the public version. Yeah.
Alternatively, right, you can try and convince your management that the best chart types are actually like your bar charts, line graphs. No, I'm serious. It's like the best actually. It brings your point across the best. Because like that you'll take some time to digest also.
Yeah. Cool. So let me see. We actually still have time. So what I will do is I will show just one or two dashboard tricks before we go into the Figma side of things. So let me think. What would be a good thing to show you guys? Yeah. Okay, I'll show you all two tricks that I use. Okay, one of it is, especially when you're building a dashboard, sometimes you need to have a dynamic measure, right? They want to see sales, they want to see quantity, they want to see percentage. So what I mean by that is, if you click on here, let me just take away all this. This was from a previous presentation, right? So over here, you would see a line chart, right, that you want to have a different date period, right? So sometimes you want to see daily, sometimes you want to see weekly or monthly. There is a way to kind of switch that view, because if daily you see a bit more spikes, weekly will have a bit more smooth. So over here, I have 3 different kind of values for you to switch between, right? If you click on days, you can see that this becomes really hard to read. Weeks is slightly better, months kind of smoothens it out a little bit more, right? But this allows your user to, you can build upon this, right? If it's days, you show last 15 days. If it's week, you show like last 30 weeks. If it's month, you show last 6 months and stuff like that. So there's different levels of complexity you can build. But how you would do this is, let me just, what's this? And go over here. Right. So by default, where is the date or the date? Right. This is usually how you would have by days, right? So what you would need to do is you want to create a parameter, right? And this parameter basically is just 3 values, a string value, right? So you have days, week, and month. Pay attention to the value itself, right? So it's all in lower caps, because you can use this exact value back in the formula itself, right? And how you would do that is that you want to have this one, which is a calculated view, right? You know what? This actually, you don't have to do this. You can actually do date truncate, and then you all right. So how, when I put it this way, right? Whatever that is in the parameter selected would return either is the day, week, or month. And this is actually used within this formula called date truncation, right? So you need the grain of how you want to truncate your date. So you want to truncate it by week, by day, by month. You can do this, and then once you have that, close this. Okay, and then you, instead of using the order date, take it away, you put the period dynamic, right? And now you can change between weeks, days, and months, right? So that's one way of building interactivity within your dashboard. The other one I would show you guys as well is, what would be a good one? Probably this one. Okay, so this one, I use it quite often in my work, and how I do it is, so sometimes you have kind of like a rolling sum, right? So for here, what you will see is if I show you the axis, right? This actually starts off at $0, right? All the way to 2.3 million, right? But let's say I only want to see the last 30 days, right? What would happen is usually I would maybe just drop this order date here. I'll put like maybe last 30 days. Wait, you can't do last 30 days because this is not, it's in December. So we can do, let's see, range, we'll do something like this, right? Roughly. Okay. And you see what happens is that the values get reset to 0, right? And now the maximum value is actually 700,000, 600,000, which is not the correct value, right? We want to keep that 2.4 million because it's a rolling sum. So how you would do that is you want to have a last 30 days filter. Where was it? Oh, this one, right? And simply, right, this is a parameter, right? If I show you what the parameter looks like, view only 30 days. Where is it? Oh, yeah. I'm getting blind. I don't know why. Okay. This is a Boolean, so just true or false, right? So if it's true, meaning that I want to show last 30 days, right? And what you would do in the calculation is you just check if the order date is greater than of LD function. So you need the LD function to get the maximum order date, and you subtract 30 days from that. All right, this would give you the latest date minus 30. Right, so you're checking if the order date is more than that cutoff point. All right, else you return true, meaning that all of the dates you want it to be in the view. So if we have this now in the view itself, right, and I show the header, all right, if this one should be view only last 30 days. Okay, no. So if it's true, meaning that, if it's false, meaning that I want to show all of the dates, not just 30 days, you can see that there's only one value here, true, right? And this is 2.3 million, right? If I switch this to, I only want to show last 30 days, right? You see that the running sum gets broken down into 2 columns, but it doesn't get reset to 0, right? So you have the maximum value here at 2.3 million still. And from here, what you can do very simply is just to right click on the false and hide it. And then you have this. So you show, hide, show. You keep the value and you have the last 30 days. You can play around with the periods. Like if you want last 15 days, last 30 days, you can do that. And you can do a case statement as well. But this is how you would actually create that view, which is very useful for dashboards because like one of the problems that we face when we launch games is that the data is very useful up to maybe the first month, right? After the first month, all the labels become very small, the lines become, very spiky and all, and everything is just like you don't have the context of what is recent and relevant for the business, right? Because you can't be looking at data from like 1 year ago, right? That doesn't help to steer your business because your user preference changes. There's different things that's happening in the sales that you want to address better. So this is one way that you can do it. So these are the 2 tricks that I would say is quite relevant in dashboard building. Before we go on to the Figma side, I would like to open it up. If you guys have any kind of things that you're trying to implement but you don't really know how to do it, we can tackle it now. Don't be shy lah. Like a certain trick or like certain user experience that you want your users to have, but you don't know how to go around doing it. All right, so Phyllis show the show and hide, navigation. There are a lot of different user experience that you want your audience to have. Mm-hmm. The expense. There is not a feature like that, but there's a workaround for that. It's easy. So if you look at this one, right, this is essentially what you're talking about, right? So if I click on this one, it hides the rest of the thing. If I close, it shows the rest of it. And this is actually done using a container system, right? So over here, you have this entire, let me just show you here, right? So you have the first row, the second row, and each of the row has like each of the individual containers with all the different things. So how you would do is that if you click on this star, right, the rest of the containers get sets a value of false, right? And only that container gets a value of true. And from here, what you do is that you use dynamic zone visibility, right? So this is a calculated field, which I can show you over here. It does get a little bit challenging when it comes to the view itself, but you can see that I have a lot of different calculated fields. If you open it up, it basically shows that whether this is another value for like false and true. 0, 1 is the same thing actually. Yeah. How do I close this? Yeah, and then you have like collapse. So I'm just checking the different values. So this will either return you a true or false. So there are few calculated, because if you look at the dashboard here, right, I need to hide not just this container, I need to hide the whole row itself as well. So there's multiple layers, but if you want to look at replicating that feature from Power BI, it's not as straightforward, unfortunately. There's workaround, but dynamic zone visibility will be your friend for that. It is last year, is it? Was like a year before? 2 years. 2 years, yeah, 2 years. Yeah. Yeah. We used to just rely on like show and hide and like a filter within the worksheet itself. Like if a value is selected, then hide this entire sheet and stuff like that. But that one was very troublesome to set up. Dynamic zone visibility is a lot simpler, but you do need to kind of understand what you are trying to show and hide. Yeah. Any other things that you guys are thinking about but are not too sure how to implement? Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. This range is of a different color. Mm-hmm. Mm. Do you want something that stretches across the entire axis? Mm. Mm. Okay. Mm. A range. So I think what you are probably referring, Shouvik pointed it out, is a, let me see, where is my superstore? Did I close my superstore? Yes, I did close my superstore. I don't have anything here that can I click. Let me just open up superstore again. The dynamic bending. So what you would do is, right, so for example, if we're looking at here, we can do sales by maybe category, right? So this is probably what you were looking for. Let me just change this to 100%. So you see, and just put this to, right? So imagine this is 0 to 100. So you can actually add the band, the distribution band or the reference band, or you can right click here and add a reference line. And from here, what you can do is you want to set like a constant. So like maybe say this is like 0.5, right, 50% to like 20%, right? You can set this to a parameter as well. A constant, let me see, some. Yeah, you can create a parameter. So for example, let's just create one parameter, right? So this can be the upper limit, right? And this will be like 0.5. And then this can be the lower limit. And this can be 0.25, for example. Right? And then you can do like something like this, right? And then you can have over here where you change the, maybe you want this now to be 0.75 and this to be 0.5. Is this what you're trying? Yeah. Simple solution for a complex problem. Hmm. Yes. Cool. Any other burning questions? Okay. If not, we'll move on to the Figma section. The reason why we want to try and do a little bit on Figma is I'm not too sure how you guys do dashboard mockups in your organization. But for me, what we do is that we have something like an asset library within Figma that we create. And it's basically a component library that, okay, a component library that has different variations of all these components, right? And you can think about, if we just create a page, we can then connect to the library itself, right? And we can just drag different things, right? You can put things together and quickly make a dashboard mockup, right? But the problem with this is that you would still need to create this entire library, which took me quite a while to do, probably like a month or so. But once you have that system in place, then it becomes easy because then you can actually replicate this one. You can change this to, let's say, an area chart. You can replicate this again. You can change this to a KPI. And then now you can wrap everything together. I'm going very fast, but it's just like kind of showing you guys what can be done, right? And then this can be like one row, right? You can do duplicate things and just reiterate from there. Usually what we do, like on my side, is that we have something like this, a fairly low fidelity mockup with all the different things and kind of like logos, what we want to do with the dashboard itself. But then again, mockups like this also take a while to do, right? Fortunately, Figma has created something for us that makes this a lot easier. And this is called the Figma Make, right? So there are a couple of ways that we can create a dashboard, right? Through sort of like vibe coding. So let me see, where is the, okay, you start from nothing. Right, I already consumed the credits to do this, but basically I can show you guys how it looks like. This is, right, so I start off by just, right, just telling them that I want to create a sales mockup, sales dashboard mockup, and then these are the key metrics that you want, right? So if you guys are using AI in your day-to-day job, you know that prompting is essential to give the AI models the context of what to return for you. So in this case, things of your business metrics are very important. So this will vary from whichever industry you guys are coming from. But this was a very kind of simple example that I was giving them. So create a sales dashboard mockup. And then what it does, it gave me a very rudimentary mockup. And then what I want to do is that you can continue to iterate through here. And Figma makes it a lot easy. So the prompting is over here. But let's say I don't like this label, right? I want to change this. I can then click on this one, right, which is point and edit. And I can select this, right? From here, I can already change, let's say I want this font. I want red color. All right, I want this text to be like 70, right? And then what it does is that it will prompt an edit file from here, and you can save, and then you can continue from there. Or alternatively, if you have experience in HTML and CSS and whatnot, there's a code function over here, right? You can click on here. You can edit directly from the fonts, the CSS from here as well. So there are a couple of ways that can do around it. It's a very design-centric tool, but if you don't have experience in HTML, it's fine as well. You can do everything through prompting. And you can go through a different variation. So I can like save this now, and this will be my new version, right? Or I can, if let's say I don't like what Figma has done, I can revert this, right? I can restore, and then it goes back to the previous version, right? I can also add different things. Like what I did after that was that I told them that I want to do an additional page, right? So this is the area for the, let's see, where's the additional page? Okay, I can also add in color palettes, right? So if I go over to my Figma mockup, I have a library. So this was a library that I kind of imported from my work. I have color palettes here, right? So this is the very typical Tableau 10 palette. What I can do is that I can copy this one, right? I can go back to that file, which is this one. And I can paste it over here. And I can tell them to use the color palettes for this dashboard, right? I don't need to enter because if you look at the colors here, right? These are the colors that are already the Tableau 10 colors, right? Initially, it wasn't using that. So that is one of the ways that you can actually use this as well. The other way that I was using is also adding a second page. So I told them I need a second page. This page focuses on detailed product analytics and should have a collapsible site filter, right? So if I click on analytics, you can see that this page, they already created for me with this little side corner that I can show and hide, right? And you can fully interact with it. The good thing about this mockup is that you can publish this, or you can just use the play button. And if you are having that stakeholder meeting, you can show them and click around, because this gives people a better idea of how the end product might be. It might not look exactly like this in Tableau, but it allows you to iterate through the different requirements from them. Let's say they say, I don't want a filter box to be at the side. I want it to be at the top. You can ask AI to kind of push that for you, and you can continue the conversation from there. And the good thing about this is that you don't even have to touch Tableau at any point in time until you do development. Because one of the issues that I face from my company is that leading up to the game launch, we don't have any data because the game is not launched yet, right? We can create dummy data, but the problem with creating dummy data is that you might need to change the data source when the real data comes in, right? So you want to avoid kind of wasted time in development that might not make it to production, right? So with this, you can just prompt it and get it to change. Once the stakeholders sign off, then you can start doing this in Tableau. And the good thing about this is that even though it is a fully functional web page, right? This doesn't kind of translate to Tableau, right? What you could do is that you can then, over here, there's this copy design. You can copy design, and you can create a new design file, right? From here, just copy and paste. You have the entire thing here. And all of this is editable, right? You can change this and everything. There is a tool, again, by Davis. I'm not his salesperson, but he's a very good friend of mine, and my company uses his stuff quite a bit. He has a plugin that is called Figma to Tableau. Yep, this one. And what this does is that you can attach an existing file, something that you worked on. So for example, you don't have to create the dashboard, right? You can create the individual charts, right? So you have a line chart, you have a KPI box, you have a bar chart, and so on and so forth. And from here, let's say if I just select an existing file, let me see. Maybe I put the 10 hex. Where is 10? No, wait. I have too many workbooks. I have too many things. So let's say if I take this, right? And you can see from here now, right? All of my worksheets are appearing here, right? I can then click on this. It pops up over here. I want to put this in there. Where is it? The compose chart. Outliers. So I think this is appearing. Let me see, where is it? Wait, okay, so it's appearing here, right? So you see this little frame that it creates when you click on this. You can then drag this into here, right? You can just overlay on top of this or something, right? You can remove the previous one. And now what you do is that if you select this entire frame, right, you can then export this dashboard with the attached workbook, and it will map things accordingly for you based on whatever that you have selected and put in. So for example, your T9 more aliases workbook would appear in this one. So this is kind of like an end-to-end, even though we are building that design from Figma, right? So because Tableau doesn't support rounded containers unless you update to 2026.1, which is the newest version. But for those people that are running on server, that will probably have to wait till like June or something. But in the meantime, if you're looking like, say for example, like this mockup, you have this rounded containers around it, right? This plugin can actually export that as image for you and lay it out everything for you very nicely. What I mean by that is, let's see if I show you how it looks like. And now if I open it up, it's probably not going to show up as I think it will, but because you need to edit it a little bit. Right, so you see like all of this has been put into place. All these are text boxes, but you have, right, this portion, right? This is the T9 more aliases, which I kind of put right in the middle here, right?
So you design it in
yes.
You already have the contract.
Yes, so you see like all this, like the images and everything, it gets translated from here to over here, right? Whatever you put inside here, like all of this, you can, so for here, I export the text as image, but you can export the text as text, but you can actually export it as image. So things like this title would then be a image by itself, right? So you can have the entire banner or like the text box. So you see like here, right, this is still the kind of the squarish box, which is not this one, but I can export it as an image. So there are a few options over here. Can you also even generate layouts from here? If you don't have a layout from here, you can, let's say, create, let's say, this one. Yes, which is, it's not too expensive. Let me see. Yes, the Figma, you can, there's a free seat, but you can also license it. The Figma to Tableau is, it's not that expensive. It's 25 per month for one developer. Yeah. So that's one consideration that you guys can have when you're building dashboard, because anything that saves you time, right, for dashboard development, because dashboard development does takes a bit of time. Yeah. So with this plugin, then you can kind of import an existing workbook with all of the sheets that you have already created, so you don't have to recreate it from scratch. Yeah, so that's one way of having that design in place. Right.
Okay, so what if the mockup shows increasing up and but when you move to Tableau, actual data like downward?
The mock doesn't matter because it depends on the sheet. Yeah, depends on what you put in the sheet. It's just a one-to-one replacement. Yeah. The other good thing about Figma Make is that you don't have to start from a prompt. If let's say you have an existing dashboard that you want to replicate, like say for example this one, right? I have an image, so I took this image from Tableau Public, right? I just take the Vis of the day, this one. Wait, was it this one? No, not this one. Which was one? Yeah, this one. This was a dashboard that I saw that I kind of liked. So I just basically download an image of it, right? And then I put it inside here, right? So I just attach it. I say recreate the dashboard based from this image, right? And it generates everything from me. It doesn't map 100%. So you do some prompting to kind of put, but at least the general flow of it and the skeleton it has. And then you can actually get it to recreate it as a website itself, which is this one. And then you have the full functionality of it, right? So I did another one that was based off that one, which looks a bit more similar, right? So now you can interact with all of the different things like you will. And again, you can then copy this into a new Figma design file, and then you can edit from there, right? So a couple of different ways that you can use this. Let me see, dashboard draft. You can also create, okay, so this is from an existing design, all right? So this is a mock-up that I did for another project, right? So I already have all of these things in place, right? But I don't have the knowledge to make this a prototype, like an interactable prototype, as I'm kind of sharing with people or like demo it. Because if I play this is static. I can't click on any of this, right? You can get Figma Make to create interactable prototype from this. And this is what I call my existing design. What you could do is, let me go back to that page, right? You can copy a link to this, right? You can copy this and you can paste it over here, right? Create an interactive web app for this dashboard design. And then now you see that everything is interactable and it's a one-to-one kind of representation. The cool thing about this is that because it's an LLM model, it has a lot of context around how dashboards are built, right? So over here, you can see I have this filter, but this filter is just a static kind of box, right? I didn't put any values in there. If I look at here, you can see that it actually very smartly put in all the values that are in from the other charts, right? I have platforms here, which they kind of infer from my existing design, and it's all clickable, right? So it's like fully functional and fully, so it's a very fun way, fun is not the right way, a very quick way to do this for stakeholders and share this with them, get their feedback and do iterations before you actually start Tableau development. Yes. So Figma Make is the conversational AI portion. Figma Design is the one that you can create from scratch. Yeah. But you can easily switch between either one of them. Yeah. Because within the whole ecosystem, you can copy and paste and they can recognize. I mean, yeah, it's different products, but it's within the same ecosystem. Yeah. So it works very well together. Yeah. I don't think it works well outside of this ecosystem, but within this framework, it works actually well. Yeah. 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 Oh, okay. We need to wrap up. Okay. Any more questions before we wrap up? Yeah. I have a final surprise. This is what I use Figma Make to do as well, but it's basically a kind of like a bingo box because we have some gifts to give away. So everyone can pick a box and see what you get. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today.